Doctor.
Doctor.
So we meet again.
We do. We're back at it.
We're going to talk about some giants.
Got a giant story here, bud.
Yeah, there's lots of giant stories.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. Well, I don't know. Is it crazy to talk about giants? I don't think so.
I don't think anything we talk about is actually crazy. I think we're just exploring the things that don't get talked about all the time.
Interesting for sure.
So I got to tell you, my first foray into looking into giants was years ago. We were working together and you were like, have you ever heard of this story, the giant of Kandahar? And I was like, no. You're telling me, and I was just like, oh my God, this is so fucking cool.
Yeah.
And then you look into it and you're like, well, this story is even cooler.
Yeah.
So if you haven't heard of the giants of Kandahar, it's basically this military team goes in to investigate this cave, and there's bones laying on the outside of the cave. And a few of the soldiers go inside, and they're quickly attacked. And this giant comes out, and depending on whose version of the story you listen to, he's like 10 feet tall or whatever. And he's got red hair, and he has 6 fingers on each hand, and he smells like just pure shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just unload, and they take down this giant, but after he kills like a bunch of dudes, you know.
Yeah.
And then they put him in a C-130 and take off, never to be seen again.
Right.
Crazy story.
So yeah, I went back through that story, and so that story first came out on Coast to Coast and the Art Bell show, Art Bell's Coast to Coast AM. I don't know if it was George Norrie at the time, or it was probably George Norrie, because it was like 2006 or something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it
2000s.
was George Norrie at the time.
And it initially came out that it was like somebody had told somebody else this story, and then they were trying to figure out who it was, and then finally contacted one of the people who was supposedly actually there, and then came on the program and like pseudonym name, and then like disguised their face and everything.
Did the voice modulator.
Did the voice modulator, yeah. I guess it was a radio program, so they didn't have to disguise their face. But yeah, they came out and said that, told the story, and then said that the remains were picked up by this big helicopter, came and like they put a netting around it and hauled it off. And then somebody else called in and said that they were at an air base where the thing landed, and then was put into another aircraft and then taken to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Makes sense to me. Which kind of begs the question. So, like, I've always had kind of qualms with that story because it reads like a creepypasta.
Yeah.
It reads like something you would find on Reddit,
Right.
you know? But it's such an interesting story, it's hard to just be like, man, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
It's because there's so much in the Middle East that is mired in controversy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, what was the real reason for going into Iraq and Afghanistan? It wasn't, you know, retribution for 9/11.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that kind of being like the Holy Land, there's a lot more going on there than what we know.
Yeah.
But the other part that I question is, you remember, I think it was earlier this year or late last year, one or the other, there was like a 6-month protocol where all NDAs could be broken. So if you were a whistleblower, you could come forward and break your NDA and there would be no consequences for it.
Right.
Why were none of the people involved in that operation coming out and talking about the giant of Kandahar?
Yeah, I don't know. Since we don't know who these people are or were, if they actually existed, if they're even still alive, or if they've been kind of taken out by the people who
Suicided.
the people who might be interested in keeping that a secret. And you know, you have to ask the question: why would they want to silence that? Who cares if they were giants? To me, it's really, you have to go back and look at the story and see where the giants actually came from. to know why they might possibly want to hide that. And for that, we have to go back and reference the Book of Enoch.
The Book of Enoch.
All mysteries lead back to the Book of Enoch.
That's a legit thing.
Yeah.
You know, and every time I kind of delve into one of these things that ties back to that, I feel like that meme of Charlie Day with the whiteboard and the cigarette.
Yeah.
I feel just like that. Like, oh my, all of this shit is connected.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the conspiracy theorist's guidebook or something, handbook.
Basically, yeah. Because it's so encompassing on so many different things that it's just like, all the information's right there.
Right.
But if you use that as like your doctrine, you're fucking bananas.
Yeah, so like we were talking about before we started recording, there's this lady that has a podcast called Ancient Conspiracies, and like her whole first season goes through and talks about all these like secret societies and a lot of the shit that we talk about. She covers like the history, actual factual history of like known stuff and where the mythos comes from and how it's connected through different the lenses of different cultures throughout history, like the ancient Greeks, the ancient Sumerians, and ancient Babylonians and Egyptians, and how they all had different names for these same people and times and places, and connects dots through research and just like, okay, that makes more sense now. And so like I said, researching these giants, I went back through the Book of Enoch stuff, and then her second season is just a whole, I think she has probably 8 or 9 episodes that are like an hour and a half long each, that just go through section by section of the Book of Enoch, talking about how it references people from the Bible and who it's talking about and the people that it's talking about. But in the Book of Enoch, it says that, and it references it in the Book of Genesis also in the Bible, Genesis 6 verse 3 or 4 or something like that. It says that the Watchers came down, who were 200 angels, came down and decided that the women were hot. They're like, oh, these human women are hot, and so they came down here and banged a bunch of them and created this race of giants that they called the Nephilim. And so the Assyrians, or the Sumerians, ancient Sumerians, had the same story in the Sumerian tablets that are millennia old, that talk about, gives the same story, but they say that it was the Anunnaki that came down, so they're people from outer space, or angels, if you want to call them. Either one is depending on who's saying it.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy that like the Book of Enoch and the Sumerian version are basically identical.
Yeah.
And they just use different names.
Right.
Which is like, it's like most modern day religions. It's all the same thing. It's just looking at it from a different angle.
Exactly.
You know. But yeah, it's crazy to think about. Angels came down. Angels, I'm using that term pretty loosely, came down, mated with women, created a Nephilim. And then the Nephilim were just bloodthirsty. They ate humans. They were like the original barbarians.
Yeah.
They did all the awful shit.
Yeah.
And then they mated with women's too, which was probably not, consensual.
Probably not.
I would imagine they're not. And then God created a flood to wipe out the Nephilim.
Yeah.
Now, it would stand to reason, for me at least, that some of them survived, especially ones in high ground caves and things like that. And then the ones that survived the Younger Dryas and would have had to have interbred to keep their,
bloodline.
Yeah, to keep their species going, because, when you're trapped in a cave and it's just like you and your sister, it's going to happen.
Right.
Especially when you're just a barbarian like they were. So, yeah, as many places as these giants have been found across the world, not just here in America, not just in the Middle East, everywhere, it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So I'm just going right off the bat and saying I 100% believe that there are living giants.
Yeah. I mean, I would say there's definitely traces of that bloodline that are still here on our earth, you know. You can look at like what they're talking about giants, like in the book of Enoch it says that some of these giants were 60 to 100 feet tall, huge, like enormous creatures. That might be a stretch, but like with everything, this game of telephone that we play throughout history is like going to get exaggerated and expounded upon every time it's retold.
Yeah.
But getting back to what I was trying to make this whole stupid loop to was like, why would you be interested in trying to cover up that there are actually giants? Well, to me, it seems like if you're trying to cover up, what you're trying to cover up is the fact that perhaps there was this species, either angels or aliens, extraterrestrials, that came down, mated with humans, and there is a pure trace of that bloodline in certain people. And these giants would be direct descendants of, you know, of that bloodline. So keeping that a secret, or keeping that whole thing under wraps so that you could do testing or do like experiments or do whatever it is with this unique genetic makeup that these beings undoubtedly had.
That makes sense to me. It also makes sense through the lens of preservation of religion.
Yeah.
Because if giants were proven to be real and we were somehow able to trace their lineage back to the Anunnaki, then it would stand to reason that our modern day religions, Catholicism, Christianity, all of those that are based in basically the same book, they would kind of fall apart.
Yeah.
Because now we're giving credibility to the Book of Enoch to say this actually happened, which means a lot of the other stuff like heaven and hell or the devil and all that, it all goes to the wayside because none of that works within the Book of Enoch.
Well, in the Book of Enoch, he does talk about when he's traveling with this being to this, he calls it God's house. He goes to God's house, which is almost like a huge building. You could think of it in terms of a spacecraft. But he says he goes through all these different realms, and the being or the angel that he's with describes them as being the realms of the spiritual realm. So there's like the underworld, hell. There's a hellscape. The one is just darkness. One is like fire and brimstone, and then he goes to a place of light and like love and like Garden of Eden, pretty much, that he describes as being what he would imagine heaven is. But he's told that this is like the ground where they grow their food for the gods, and
it's just put through a way different lens with modern religion, where it's like, if you're good through your life, you'll go to heaven. If you're bad in your life, you'll go to hell.
Yeah.
Versus in the Book of Enoch, it's, yes, those things exist within the scope of them basically being these rooms on the ship, but they're not meant for what we perceive them to be meant for.
Yeah.
Which makes it way more interesting to me.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely if you're into that sort of stuff, check out that podcast because it goes into great depths. But she also goes through and she talks about, so after the flood, the first king on the earth after the flood is King Nimrod, and he sends out a bunch of scouts to go scout out different areas where they can start to repopulate. And he sends scouts to this place that's at the base of Mount Hermon, which Mount Hermon was the place where the 200 angels came down to and made this pact. It's in northern Turkey. And so he sends this group of people there to go scout out the land and see if you can inhabit this land, or if it's still flooded or whatever. So they go there, and the scouts return and say, "Yeah, we went and checked it out, and there were giants there." And so obviously some of the giants survived the flood, and they were living at this camp at the base of this mountain, Mount Hermon. And the scouts reported that the beings that were living there we were like grasshoppers to them, so just tiny. They were huge. But then that tribe of people, giants, were said to have moved off to foreign lands, and she traces it to they're the tribe of Dan, which is one of the lost tribes of Israel, and so they moved off to Malta and some of the Greek islands and inhabited them, and then their bloodline became the Spartans, and then from there they moved to Ireland, and then there was a tribe of giants there that was like the Tuatha De Danann, which literally translates to the giants of Dan. So it's like there's a whole bloodline history that you can trace.
Yeah, which it's crazy to think about them being in Turkey. What else is in Turkey? Göbekli Tepe.
Yeah.
Which they're trying to backfill. Why would they try to backfill that? It's like one of the most important archaeological finds of all of human history.
Yeah.
So why are we trying to cover it up?
Yeah, they're trying to cover it up and say we're going to unbury it in 100 years to see if we can find out more about it.
Yeah, bullshit.
And they've only uncovered they've done LiDAR scans of everything, and they've only uncovered 8% of the site.
Yeah.
And there's so much more under there that they just don't want to uncover.
So maybe Göbekli Tepe was like housing for giants. A small village, perhaps.
Maybe.
Would make sense of how it was built. All these big, heavy stones being moved around by giants.
By giants. And yeah, there's a lot of different sites around the world that are claimed to by the people who have lived there to have been built by giants, like Gigantea I think it's on Malta. Some of the biggest megalithic stones ever moved by humans are on this site, and the origins of that place, the historical tales of how it was built by giants.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's completely plausible.
I think so too. Even if you look at the idea of moving these huge stones, especially long distances away. I don't want to go with pyramids because I think those were built by something else. But what about the giant heads of Easter Island?
Yeah.
How did those get all the way over there?
Yeah.
And why are they why do they have these gigantic heads? If not being like icons or religious figureheads for giants.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, yeah, and you look at the Moai on Easter Island, and a lot of people think that it's just big head statues, but no,
they go way into the ground.
Like 30 feet down underground. It's a whole body mostly underground, most of them. And they said that they walked into position. That's the people say that the historical record says that the Moai walked into their own positions. So how would they do that?
Yeah, maybe they walked into position and died there and became petrified. Who knows?
Yeah,
that's a crazy mystery to me. That you could come up with 800 different theories, and I would be like, yep, they're all correct.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the movie Rapa Nui?
I've not.
Oh. It's a movie about the people of Easter Island and how they kind of went extinct.
Is it a documentary or
No,
an actual movie?
it's like a movie. I think the guy from La Bamba's in it.
Oh, Lou Diamond Phillips?
No, like his cousin or whatever.
Oh, okay.
But basically it says like they would cut these stones out of the lava rock, shape them, and then they would cut down trees and use them as rollers, and they would grease them with like sweet potatoes. So they would grow all these crops and then grease these logs with sweet potatoes, but the logs would only last so long because they'd break, and so they ended up cutting down all the trees on the island and then made it inhospitable because there was no more trees to grow like shade, and there was no more like soil to grow food. But interesting.
I'm gonna have to give that a look.
Yeah.
So speaking of cover-ups like Göbekli Tepe or that sort of thing, in the research and finding out the Smithsonian has gathered all of these giant bones here in America and never released them, that's a huge conspiracy to me.
Yeah.
And it's crazy too, and I'm pulling this one right from the Y-Files because he did great research. But finding the, I can't remember what the law is called, but basically it's if a museum or anything has artifacts or remains of Native Americans, they have to give it back at request. But the exemption is the Smithsonian.
Yeah.
Every time. And that's bonkers to me. That's like, hey, all of you guys have to follow the law, but not me.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff with the Smithsonian as it pertains to not only giants, but a lot of different things like supposed Egyptian type artifacts that were found in the Grand Canyon,
which is a banana story.
Yeah, and now that section of the Grand Canyon is you can't fly anything there, you can't hike into that spot, you can't even go. If you do go near that place, all of a sudden black helicopters show up and tell you to move on. Interesting.
Government conspiracies, man, they're abound.
Yeah, so speaking of the giants of Kandahar, there was another story that I came across that was similar to it, but it happened during World War II. Did you see anything about that?
I don't think I came across this. You have my interest.
It's the giants of the Solomon Islands.
I came across that name, but I don't know the story.
So basically, the story comes from Japanese soldiers who they went to the Solomon Islands because they were getting ready to try to stop the advancement of the Americans coming to the Pacific. And so, like Midway, this chain of islands in the Solomon Islands was kind of a key point that they were trying to block right there. So they sent all these troops there, and they were making these large encampments so that they could defend the island from the Allies coming and setting up their bases there. And so they were there, and so they're setting up these camps. And so there's I don't know if it's how many guys it was, a troop of people who went out into the forest to go do surveying and stuff to go see if the Americans had landed yet or if they were doing whatever. But as they're going through the forest, first of all, they noticed that the people who were actually living there in the Solomon Islands wouldn't go into the forest. They wouldn't go into the into the heart of the
red flag
island. Yeah. And so the Japanese had set up their encampments along the coast, and then we're kind of expanding deeper and deeper into the forest. And so there's a troop that goes in, and one night they're sitting in their camp, and they start hearing rustling in the trees, and so they think it might be the Americans, and so they all go out kind of to go look to see what it is. And they hear this huge roar, and they start to smell this smell that's just like, smells like rotten meat. And all of a sudden, this giant bursts out of the trees, and they say it's like 15 feet tall, human-looking giant with red hair, and has like a stone club, and then just fucking smashes one of their guys with the stone club, runs over there, grabs another guy, rips him in half, and starts eating him. And so they all start like trying to kill this guy, this giant, and they shoot him. They're just unloading their magazines, and it seems like it's not doing anything to him. Well, eventually the thing like runs back into the forest, and they start making their way back to their encampment. But they're like 3 days into the jungle, and so it's like they got a while to get back.
Yeah.
And so for 3 days they're making their way back as they're getting hunted and picked off kind of one by one predator style by this giant. But as they're moving through the woods, they do encounter American soldiers, and so they're hiding, trying to sneak past this other troop of American soldiers that are going in, and they overhear the Americans who are talking about the same thing. They're experiencing the same thing, like seeing these giants and being hunted by this thing. So that was just another.
That's like the the basis for that King Kong movie.
Yeah.
Where the two the American pilot and the Japanese pilot land on Skull Island.
Yeah.
And they have to kind of join forces against the skull crawlers.
Yeah, they don't.
Fortunately, one of the Japanese people spoke English to overhear and be like, "Oh, they're talking about the giant too."
Yeah.
What's the chances?
Yeah, I thought that too when I was hearing the story, and I was like, a Japanese soldier during World War II who speaks English. Maybe.
Possible.
Possibly.
Unlikely.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a fun story for sure.
Oh yeah.
I think Mr. Ballin covers that story also, and he's a good storyteller and tells the story pretty well. But yeah, that was another one that was right in line with the giant of Kandahar.
Well, it makes sense. A war-torn area where if you were sending troops in to hunt a giant, and more so in the Kandahar story than the other one, where if you're sending troops into that area to hunt down this giant, if they all get killed, then you have some plausible deniability. You could have said, "Oh yeah, Al-Qaeda got a hold of these guys, and that's what happened." But instead, it's like, well, how did Al-Qaeda rip them in half, bite their heads off and shit, you know? So it makes sense in a way. Very cool story, very interesting. But it's like, it does kind of draw the question of, okay, so this happened in the 2000s in the Afghanistan war, and then it happened in World War II in the Pacific Theater. What other war has this happened in?
Yeah.
I mean, at least in World War II and in Afghanistan, you had automatic weapons to defend yourself. I couldn't imagine being in like the Revolutionary War trying to
fuck!
Load your fucking musket, son of a bitch! And then it does nothing.
Yeah.
He's just like,
Yeah. Get the cannons ready! Make ready!
Make ready! Actually, get back on the boat. We're getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah, especially in the Americas, where in some circles, ancient America was known as the land of the giants because they have supposedly found hundreds, if not thousands, of giant skeletons here in the Americas, all across America.
Well, you had the Choctaw and the Paiutes have legends about giants.
Mm-hmm.
And both of those native nations have gone to war with these. And I wrote them down over there. So the Sitka versus the Paiute, and then the Nahulo versus the Choctaw. And it's crazy because these nations are totally separate and completely isolated from each other, but their stories are basically the same.
Yeah.
So when I heard about him, I started like delving into details, and it all matches the same stories of Kandahar and the Japanese one, where it's this giant guy, you know, like between 10 and 15 feet tall, 6 fingers, red hair, stunk to high hell. So isn't it so weird that all these different, not just, you know, these native nations, but American soldiers and then Japanese soldiers, and then another platoon of American soldiers in World War II, they all tell the same story.
Yeah.
Even though they wouldn't have had contact with each other.
Yeah.
Just bananas, right? It's almost like it's real.
Almost seems real, dude. Yeah, I think it's the Paiute that have a story about Lovelock Cave.
Yeah, Lovelock Cave.
Where there's a tribe of giants who kept on hunting down members of their tribe and eating them. And so they were constantly at war with this tribe of giants. And throughout the generations, the tribe of giants their numbers got smaller and smaller. And so finally, they were able to push these giants and find that they were living in this cave called Lovelock Cave. And so they went in there one day when they were sleeping, blocked off the whole entrance to the cave, lit a fire, and killed all the giants that were inside. And so they had this story that they wouldn't go to this cave because it was haunted by the spirits of these giants. And so some researchers went in there and actually found mummies of giants, and they were like 8 to 9 feet tall giants with red hair. Can't remember if those ones had double rows of teeth, but again, they reported it and sent samples to the Smithsonian. The Smithsonian sent archaeologists and people to go investigate, collected up all the shit and took it back to their museum or whatever.
Yeah.
And then everything disappeared.
Yeah, and then it got locked in a warehouse, and then when people inquired about it, they're like, oh yeah, that warehouse is on lockdown for asbestos removal, and it's going to take 10 years.
Yeah.
That was like 20 years ago. You know, so we'll never see that one.
So I'm sure the Smithsonian has some kind of archive almost akin to the archive at the Vatican.
Oh, 100%.
I think that the U.S. government just uses the Smithsonian almost as a cover for all the shit that they want to keep secret.
Well, yeah, because they can be subject to so many different laws. It's kind of like if you ship artwork, it's exempt from x-rays and things like that, and manual searches, for the most part, are not available because you might damage the artwork. Mm-hmm. So they get like subject to very, very loose inspections. It's probably similar with the Smithsonian, where it's like, well, this is a history preservation act, so we can't just like break stuff out to show people. We can't put it on the traveling show. We can't put it in the archive or anything like that. It's safest if we leave it here in a box to be studied by top men.
Yeah.
So, I really think it's the same thing, where they can justify keeping it secret. Not totally different from like handing over UAP craft to Lockheed Martin Skunk Works and be like, hey, you guys put a patent on it and we can protect the patent.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. It's just a legal way of scuttling information and material.
Yeah, and also they can say, yeah, the government doesn't have anything like that. The government doesn't, but they own organizations that do.
Yeah. We fund the
organizations that do. So yeah, I think that it's definitely they're using it as like a front or a scapegoat.
Since what, 1952, I think it is, they've owned NASA, which is the same thing. It's a government-owned, government-funded program that keeps information secret.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
basically the government's fucked. They're keeping a lot of shit from us, and it's unfair.
I wouldn't say just basically. I would say wholeheartedly, all around. Government seems to be fucked.
What are we on, like day 20-something of the shutdown?
I don't know.
or whatever it is. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It kind of makes me want to stop paying taxes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do without my food stamps.
It's so crazy to me how hotly that's debated.
Yeah.
I saw a statistic the other day. I know this is sidetracked, but it was like 46 million Americans are on SNAP benefits. And it's kind of crazy because there's two different outlooks on it. It's one side is going, why are 46 million Americans going to lose their benefits? And then the other side is going, why do we have 46 million Americans on benefits? And to me, it's not like that's a terrible program. We kind of need it. You know, there are elderly people, there are people with handicaps or mentally unstable, things like that. There are people that need everybody's help. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of people abusing the shit out of the system.
Oh, yeah.
So the whole thing just needs a huge top-to-bottom audit.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just a...
Yeah, I saw some breakdown still on this sidetrack of like, if you do DoorDash and you make, say, $15,000 a year, you qualify for SNAP benefits, EBT, government-assisted housing. All of those benefits pretty much bring you up to around $45,000 a year annually, which is okay, but you have all this free time. You don't have to work 40 hours a year, working maybe 2 hours a day or something, like doing DoorDash or something.
Making $15,000 in a year on DoorDash probably does not require that much time.
Yeah.
I ordered from Uber Eats last night, and I ordered sushi, so it was pretty pricey. And I always do like at least a 20% tip, because I'm terrified of one of those Door Dashers coming up and throwing my food on the doorstep, because I only tipped them 15%, and then I would lose my shit on them. But it's also, I was watching this video, and this lady's like, oh yeah, people who deliver Uber Eats and DoorDash, they will prioritize bigger tip orders.
Yeah.
So if you tip 20%, we'll take your order before the guy who tipped 10%.
Yeah.
So, but that 20% tip was like $30. So you get quite a few of those orders. Like if you start in January, you're done by like, what, May?
Yeah.
Oh shit, I made my 15 G's. Now I get my benefits, chilling the rest of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it went, the other side was like, if you're making $60,000 a year, you don't qualify for any of those benefits, but you have to work 40 hours. 12% of that, or it's like $12,000 off the top goes straight to taxes, so that brings you down to about $48,000 a year that you're making, but you don't have any of the benefits of like, and you don't have any free time. So it's like, you see where both sides kind of even out, but one person can do whatever the fuck they want because they don't have to worry about paying for their house or paying for groceries or paying for anything. They have all this free time to do all the shit that they like to do. And one person, the other side, this person has to work every single day, struggle every single day just to try to make ends meet, and it's a constant thing. It's like, so yeah, you can see where there is a huge imbalance. Massive.
But
anyways, back to giants. It's a giant imbalance. That's what we're getting at.
So yeah, the two stories about, you know, military personnel fighting off giants, the part that I find implausible is because you can kill a giant with a rock. I know because I did it. I was there.
Old Goliath, huh?
Yeah. Only, you know, in the book it tells a very different story. Nobody ever asked me my side of it. They just made something up.
Well, you've got a platform here. Let's hear the tale.
We didn't have beef with giants back then. They stayed in their camp, we stayed in ours, but one night I was in a bar and he was talking shit, and you know, I just told him, if you don't shut up, I'm going to kill you with a fucking rock. I didn't use a sling, I literally bashed his head in with it. Just had to show him who's who, you know.
They got to know.
That's why I became the king.
They got to know. You know, in the story, David went to go select a stone. He didn't select one stone, he got 5 stones. You know why?
Why?
For David and his 4 brothers.
Ah,
So there was more giants than just Goliath. Sorry, Goliath and his 4 brothers.
yeah.
He had 4 brothers who were also giants.
Isn't it crazy though when you think about, so you have the giants from the Bible, you have the giants that we've talked about, but they're all throughout history. The Greeks have stories of giants. There's some in Roman culture. They're all over the place. But again, it kind of goes back to like the flood myth, where every religion has a version of the flood. So every society, every ancient society has a version of giants. It just has so much more credibility than I think anybody really wants to give it.
Yeah.
You think about this, in our culture, we have stories of Bigfoot, right? And those have to be tied together somehow. Even if, like I was saying, where these giants are holed up and they're in small numbers and they're interbreeding with each other, being inbred, I should say, and they're just popping out more and more babies that become more and more inbred. What if that leads to Bigfoot, who is like the most toned down, genetically inferior version of
Nephilim. Just this huge, retarded fucking inbred creature.
They're smart enough to know to stay away from people, but probably kind of stupid in every other aspect. They just know eat, poop, and fuck.
Yeah. They're just like a fucking autistic nature guy. Very shy around people. Stays in the woods.
Yeah. Just like, I'm not going out there. There's people out there.
Yeah. In that too, saying that like how some people think that Bigfoot or Sasquatch are some people think they're physical creatures and some people think they're interdimensional beings. But the same account of like in the book of Enoch and it talks about how when God created the flood to kill all the Nephilim, he also cursed them with, so before the flood people would live like 900 years. And so he said, I'm going to limit the days of man to 120 years or 128 years or something like that, but I'm going to curse the Nephilim since they're half God and half mortal, half God, and they're a scourge of the world. They're abomination. I'm going to curse them with a mortal physical body but an immortal soul to stay on the earth. And so that's what they say are like evil spirits and evil entities, are these spirits of the Nephilim, and they're pretty much demonic spirits now that roam the world forever. It's just what the research says.
Well, that's where Scientology stole it from. I'm not even going to go on that tangent. Scientology is ridiculous. Yeah, there's got to be some kind of correlation there. Same with Gigantopithecus or, the Yeti. It would make sense to me that not only as a product of inbreeding, but also an evolutionary product, like being covered with fur and things like that, where they have to adapt to elements because they don't live in domiciles like we do, or they don't wear clothing like we do, so their bodies have to adapt to nature.
Right.
And it's not totally indifferent from like the feral people of Appalachia, where by all accounts they're kind of the same. Piss off, phone. So it would stand to reason to me that if they are a byproduct of the Nephilim, that they have adapted to living out in the wilderness and staying away from people, and their bodies have changed over time to suit the elements.
Not only that, is it just like a genetic thing where like all the females of that species or females of that group just thought it was super hot when somebody was fucking super hairy. And so through thousands of years of breeding with these fucking hairy ass male creatures, like all of them are just super hairy now. Just have full-on fucking fur.
Yeah, like the Austin Powers of...
I would rather run into a furry Bigfoot than a fucking bald-ass fucking hairless Sasquatch.
You can see every bit of him. Like, he's super ripped. You're just like, God, I need to do some sit-ups.
Yeah, have you ever seen a chimpanzee with mange?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, dude, they're terrifying looking.
They're scary.
Yeah.
I mean, chimpanzees are scary in and of themselves, but you give them mange, like you see a dog with mange, you're like, oh, is that a skinwalker?
Yeah, I would say a chimpanzee looks like a fucking rake that's been in the gym quite a bit.
It's crazy to see animals that are just insanely shredded, like kangaroos.
Yeah.
You ever see?
That guy goes and runs out there and slaps that kangaroo for fucking with his dog. Have you seen that video?
Yeah. Dude, I'm
Fucking
surprised.
kangaroo stands up on him like fucking yoked.
I'm surprised he was able to run with that fucking giant pair of balls he's dragging around.
Right.
I wouldn't fuck with a kangaroo.
I don't know, dude. I'd be like, fuck, I'm gonna have to get a new dog.
Well, good luck, Fido. Hopefully see you at home.
Yeah. Might end up with some fucking dogaroos in 6 months or however long dogs are pregnant for.
Have you ever seen those videos of like Aborigines, how they cook kangaroo tail?
Uh-uh.
It does not look appetizing.
No?
It's just this big hunk of floppy meat, and they throw it in the fire to burn off all the hair, and then the skin that's left just looks leathery. And then they open it up, and the meat looks super dense. Like, no matter how you cook it, it's never going to be, soft enough.
Yeah.
And then, they're... This is a delicacy amongst the Aborigines. Like,
I'll have to watch some fucking Aboriginal cooking shows.
well, it's usually like a white man is trying to learn about their tribe and things like that, so they teach them stuff. But it's, I don't know, man. It just doesn't look appetizing. Well, and you got to think.
I can't imagine, dude, because I'm sure just how fucking yoked kangaroos are. Their tails are probably just solid, dense fucking muscle.
Oh, all of it's probably super solid, dense muscle. Like, you see all the striations in their upper body. Like, this guy does not skip fucking tricep day.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because all their power's in their legs, but they have these super jacked arms.
Yeah.
So, anyway, super dense meat.
So, if giants are, the tales of giants are real, but might be misconstrued as humans when they're something else, what do you think that they possibly could be, or what do you think the possible explanation of them could be that these people are seeing? So we have to go through and say, appease the naysayers, I guess, of what they could be, possibly, which I can't really think of.
Honestly, it's more of a stretch for me to come up with something to appease the naysayers than it is for me to say giants are real.
Yeah.
It's way more difficult because we do have, within our genetics, we have things like gigantism, which is a totally real thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've seen celebrities with gigantism. Andre the Giant, key point. And typically people with gigantism, they don't live very long.
Right.
Because it's so much strain on their heart and on their internal organs that they die usually in their 30s. And then you have other people that we know throughout history who are just naturally huge people. Like, look at Shaq.
Yeah.
He's like 7'4", and he's like got to be in his 50s at this point, and he's still healthy. So that's not like traditional gigantism. Gigantism. It's a version of that, I would say, but it's more sustainable. So could you apply that to kind of the idea of like feral people from Appalachia where they kind of live in the woods secluded? Possibly, but I think that's more of a stretch than just being like, yeah, there's ginger giants out there.
Yeah, you look through like historical records, and most of the people were like, right now I think that humans are taller than they used to be. I think the average height even 200 years ago was like 5'6" or something like that.
Yeah.
So humans genetically are becoming taller. I think it's because we have the ability to eat more stuff when we're younger. Food is more readily available. But there are tribes, even on Earth today, that typically are a lot taller than average people. There's a tribe in Somalia, I think the average height is like 7'1" or something like that.
Jesus.
Where they're just all fucking super tall.
But
people.
they're all skinny as shit.
Yeah, tall, skinny fucking people. And so I think that there's definitely something to be said about that, where, you know, the bloodlines have been enriched with this trait of being super tall.
I think that's absolutely true, because I think it's some kind of dormant thing in genetic code, you know, because you'll see like a family of people who are all kind of in the 5'6" to 5'10" range, and then randomly they'll have a kid who's like 6'9".
Yeah.
Where it's just that one piece of dormant DNA is just like, hey, don't forget about me.
Yeah.
And naturally they're called the mailman's kid, but yeah, you see it all the time. And there are some families where it's like most of the people in their family come out super tall.
Yeah.
You know, I've known some people that have the average height in their family is like 6'7". Or even once in a while, I'll see something on social media where it's like the mom and the dad are average height, but all the kids, including the females, they're all way above 6'5".
Yeah.
I think it's just there. It's just dormant.
Yeah.
You need just the right combination of DNA to unlock it.
Yeah. That along with, getting the sustenance to grow that big. I was watching one thing that was talking about kind of the limitation of the human body to be able to support a height of over, say, 10 feet tall is almost impossible, just because of the bone density that you would need to have that. Bone can only support a certain amount of, human bones can only support a certain amount of weight, but you would think that the bigger you got, the denser your bones would be.
I would think you would be proportional.
Yeah. And so they were saying, like, if you were, say, 20 feet tall, you would have to have bone density to be able to support like 5,000 pounds or something like that.
Yeah.
Which your bones can't support that much weight as they are right now.
Yeah. Well, I think about, like, in the comics, Ant-Man, he can also become Giant Man. So naturally, everything about him would have to proportionally grow. Mm-hmm. And same when he shrinks, it would have to shrink proportionally. So that when he is 60 feet tall, his bones can support that. Because if your bones can support you at 6 feet tall and you grow 10 times your normal size, you would think it would just work.
Yeah.
So I get it to a degree, but at the same time, it would just make sense to me that as you grow, if you're already going to grow to that size, your bones are going to compensate. Your organs are going to compensate.
Yeah.
It's the people like with actual gigantism where their body is outgrowing what the rest of, their organs and everything can do. Because theoretically, your heart would have to be bigger, mm-hmm. and it would have to pump faster and more volume. Same thing with your digestive tract would have to get bigger so it could encompass more food.
Yeah.
And it would have to be able to travel a longer distance. So if you had if you were, I can't remember the guy's name, but the tallest man in recorded history was 8'11". But if he had a digestive tract my size, it would be miserable for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't see why.
Laszlo, is his name Laszlo?
I think so.
Something.
There's everybody next to him was at the height of his belt.
Yeah. This was in the 1900s, yeah?
Yeah, he was born in 1918, and I think he died in 1940. He was 32 years old. So yeah, it's crazy to look at pictures of him.
Yeah.
Just massive human being. His cane is taller than most people.
Yeah, he's got most of all the Ripleys, believe it or not, museums that they have, they'll have like a statue of him where he's sitting down, and then it's like an animatronic thing, and then he'll stand up so you can see just how tall he. It's like a life-size animatronic statue of him, and he stands up, and you're just like, holy fuck!
But somehow still less creepy than the animatronics at Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
So have you heard about Andrew Dawson?
I don't know.
So this is an interesting giant story. So he lives near Mount Shasta, which in and of itself is a very creepy place. But he had videoed a bunch of what he perceived as giants up on the mountains. And he did it a few times. And then just out of nowhere, he like posted this video where he looked like somebody was pointing a gun at him from behind the camera, and he's like, I made the whole thing up, it's not true, there's never any giants, and blah blah blah. And then he came out again later and was like, the whole thing was true, and they told me to say it was fake, and blah blah blah. And then he committed suicide. It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I know the Y-Files has an episode on it, but I remember seeing it before because of the videos of giants, and I'm like, holy shit, that fucking looks like a giant. Granted, there's some discrepancy in his videos, but it still looks pretty legit.
I'm pretty sure I've probably seen his giants videos. I've seen quite a few of those ones that are like recording like a silhouette on top of a mountain. You can see it's the frame silhouette of somebody standing up there or whatever. I've seen a lot of those. Yeah, I'll have to.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some other really cool videos of somebody's like filming the tree line, and you see the tops of the trees moving as though somebody's walking through them. But these trees are, 30, 40 feet tall.
Yeah.
Those are crazy too.
Yeah, there's other stories about soldiers in Afghanistan, and some of them are like British soldiers, Australian soldiers that are looking at humanoid things through. Like there was one that was like he was looking through a thermal imaging scope, watching this little village. They were watching for insurgents or whatever, and he said that he was watching, and then he could see the wall that surrounded the little village, and then all of a sudden he saw somebody stand up behind the wall, and the wall was like to here, and like the person was walking around, and then so he was like, that's weird, like what is this guy standing on? And all of a sudden the guy came out from behind the wall and was just walking, and it was like a heat signature of a person, human, looked like a human walking, but he was able to measure the wall at like 6 foot, almost 7 feet tall. This wall was, so whoever was standing behind the wall had to be 10 feet tall, maybe 9 feet tall.
Yeah, because I remember seeing that one, and he thought it was just a couple of people huddled together until it stood up.
Yeah. I
couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
You just like, whatever cryptid you got ain't shit compared to a giant.
Yeah.
Because it's, the rake is running around, he's this gaunt little thing, the giant just goes.
And in that same storyline, there was like 3 or 4 different accounts of people picking up these signatures of giant humans in that same kind of region, and they would talk to the heads of these tribes that live out in these remote places in Afghanistan, Pakistan, and they would talk about, you're not supposed to talk about these people or their brothers that live out by themselves in these caves or whatever, but some of them assessed that they were living in conjunction with these beings, and there was kind of an agreement with them that they wouldn't kill all the people. They would, come out and maybe kill a few people here
one
and there.
One or two here or there.
But they would also sacrifice goats and stuff and take them and leave them at the base of these caves to appease the giant or whatever.
Like, hey, eat our goats, not our people.
Yeah. We'll find you some goats and bring them to you. Have at them. Please don't eat my kids.
Did you hear about Jerry? Got yanked by one of these giants.
Yeeted by a giant, dude.
Yeah, I have trouble with some of those stories from that region because you have to kind of wonder, like, how much has the story of the giant of Kandahar kind of been taken on its own, where other people are like, oh yeah, I saw the same thing, but it was somewhere else.
Yeah.
And nobody else saw it but me, so don't question it, you know.
Of course, there is a lot of that, like clout chasing, or like, especially on TikTok, where it's like, okay, this is getting some traction. I'm going to do this story.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There was one guy that I was watching a bunch of his stuff on giants, and he was talking about all this stuff, and so I went through his feed, and then it went through, and then he was talking about flat earth, and I was like, oh, fucking crazy. You're wrong.
Nothing will discredit you in my mind faster than being a flat earther.
Yeah.
Second to that is a Holocaust denier. And if you're both, you are absolutely stupid.
Absolutely.
Sorry, not really.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I definitely think that there is a strong case for giants living both in the past and still today, that like little holdouts of giants who...
Yeah, I was looking at a map of all the all the bones that have been uncovered across the U.S. of giants. Most of them are on the east half of the country. There's 2 in Utah. And I thought, that's kind of weird. There's only 2 in this state that's mired in so much conspiracy. Then I thought, actually, that makes sense. We're just keeping them all at Dugway. They're moving all the crates around and shit.
Yeah, I just saw on Facebook last night that people were posting about something that looked like it went down last night in the Dugway area.
I saw something about that, and then I saw another a UAP video that was taken just a little bit north of us, and it was one of those weird shaped, I don't even know how to describe it, but yeah, pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But I think it's strange that here in Utah we're kind of used to that sort of thing, to where it's like it's almost not even special anymore. Like, you remember the drone thing?
Yeah.
Where, what was that, last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was right around the election.
Where, all these other cities are just making a huge deal about it, and then they're spotted over Salt Lake, and everybody's just like, whatever.
Yeah, there's drones or UAPs. There's something in the sky. Anyways, should we go to the mall?
Have you paid your tithing?
Should we go to Fashion Place Mall and spend some money?
No. No. I hate going to the mall.
Yeah, me too, but people love it.
It's not 1995 anymore. It's just not cool.
I don't know why people love going to the mall still.
I hate the idea of giving more money to Amazon, but I love the idea of not going to the mall.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like going to the mall sucks.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah. Did you know that one of the first malls was here in Salt Lake?
No, I didn't.
Indoor mall. It was Cottonwood Mall was the first indoor structural mall.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. I don't know why I do know that, but I do know that.
Interesting factoid. It's what we do here.
Yeah.
Do you think there's giants there?
Possibly buried underneath, yeah.
I think as much mountain range as we have in this state, why not? How many Bigfoot videos have you seen from this state?
From Utah, there's
a lot.
Quite a few.
There was one I saw, it's got to be like 10 years old now, but these people are filming into this tree line, and there's kind of like a gully and then the tree line, and it looks like there's something squatted behind a tree. You're like, holy shit, what is that? Then it stands up and it's about as tall as a tree, and they just book it. And I'm like, you chicken shits, film it.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, I'd be like, you know what? I'm gone too.
Yeah.
See you later.
If that is a wild creature that's bigger than a fucking bear that lives in the wilderness, it's probably hungry, and you're probably not off of the fucking menu.
And if it's that close to where people are, it's hunting.
Yeah.
It's not going to leave the safety of the density of woods unless it really needs food.
Yeah.
In which case, yeah, you are on the fucking menu.
Especially, I think I know what video you're talking about. Is there snow kind of around? Looks like it might be springtime.
Yeah, around there.
So if it's like, who knows, maybe Sasquatches or Bigfoots hibernate during the wintertime.
They come out and they're
coming out and fucking
bellies growling.
Yeah, eating whatever they can find.
And you think like, oh, I'm going to protect my children. No, you're the main appetite,
Yeah.
because the children are small. If you're hungry and you're hunting a deer, you're not going to go for a baby deer. You want the big one.
No.
It has the most meat.
Yeah. That's what I would eat anyways. I would eat just fucking snatch somebody's goat or something.
I mean, I'm not worried. If there's a rock around, I'll take care of it. I've done it before.
True. Just take off your belt and use it as a sling.
Ka-cha! Actually, I hit a Bigfoot. He's like, dick. I was just trying
I'm a fucking vegetarian, bro.
I was just trying to introduce myself. I'm Gerald. Oh shit, my bad, dude. He's like, just kidding.
Psych. Yeah. Definitely a fun thing to look into.
So, why do you think they have red hair?
I don't know.
This has been like the big question in my mind. There's so much of their like genealogy, or I should say physical traits, that I do understand. The 6 fingers is actually a dominant trait of humans.
Mm-hmm.
We've just what do you call it? We've evolved past that.
Was it paradactylism or something?
Yeah, something like that. But that used to be a dominant trait. So it makes sense that we have 5 fingers, but it also makes sense that they have 6, especially if they're closer in bloodline to our creator, who potentially had 6 fingers.
Yeah.
The double rows of teeth, I also get, because you're going to be biologically designed to eat everything you can.
Mm-hmm.
As being that big, your caloric intake has to be massive. So you're not just going to eat meat, you're going to eat whatever vegetation you can find. Or like the Paiutes called them, what was it called? They ate tule. This big thick
Reeds.
reed.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that they have 2 rows of teeth. I cannot understand why they would have red hair. Why wouldn't they have diversity of hair color like humans do?
Yeah, I thought that was, I mean, it could just be a genetic trait if they're all coming from similar ancestors. It could just be a really dominant trait that they passed down, but as they would interbreed with other people, you would think that they would get more diversity within their gene pool, but I don't know. Yeah, I think that it's there still are people like in the West Indies that paradactylism or whatever it is, more fingers or toes is still very. You're highly likely to have that if you're from the West Indies.
I wonder if they're really good at guitar.
I don't know. There was this one guy when I used to play shows. He would be at all these different shows, and I'd see him all the time. And he was from Jamaica, and always say what's up to him, and like go and shake his hand. And the first time I shook his hand, I like reached down and like grabbed his hand, and it felt weird. And I looked down, and he had 2 thumbs.
That's dope.
And I was like, kind of like just shocked by it, but I was just like,
Too late. I'm committed.
Yeah. But I didn't know that at the time, that's kind of a trait that's known in that area, that it's just a genetic trait that people from there have. So it could be something that those things are just passed down genetically.
Yeah, I do wonder if red hair is a dominant trait too, because I think blonde hair is recessive, which is why sometimes you'll have like, look at my kids. My oldest, he's like a dirty blonde, but then my next one, he's got darker hair like mine, like way darker than mine, but his mom is blonde. So it's kind of like, that seems a little bit more recessive. Even you look at kids, they're born blonde, and they're blonde throughout their childhood, and then when they reach maturity, they become brunette.
Yeah.
So I wonder if red hair is like dominant, because if you've ever seen a family and one parent is a redhead, typically all the kids are redhead. It's kind of interesting to look at. So by that rationale, potentially a lot of Celtic people have the genealogy of a giant.
Yeah, their Nephilim genes are running strong.
So if you're a ginger, you might be part giant.
Well, that's what in this lady's genealogical work, that's where the giants went, and then kind of went from there to the Americas. So it would, makes sense in that line of thinking that those traits are passed down in that area of the world.
What if you saw a ginger with 6 fingers? You would just be like, you're a giant. Dude, like, I'm 5'7".
A fucking Nephilim, dude.
Fucking Nephilim.
Yeah. You do have a soul, but it's cursed for for eternity on the earth. You're going to be a demon after you die.
You're just going to haunt everybody.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why, you see a redhead and they typically have kind of a fiery attitude.
Demon soul.
Demon soul.
Yeah, some people say the gingers are soulless, but I think maybe it's the opposite. The internal, or the fucking infinite soul.
Yeah. Or, I don't think they're soulless. You can't be, like, free of something if you consume that thing. So they're just walking around eating souls.
Eating souls. Soul eaters.
Soul eaters. Do you think they like Southern food? Soul food?
Soul food. I think they like Korean food.
Capital of Korea food.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess there are stories of like Asian giants. Sumo wrestlers are pretty much Asian giants, I guess.
They're just fat.
Some of them are pretty tall.
Yeah, look at Yao Ming.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what country he's from, but he's like the tallest Asian person ever, probably.
But I saw him in Hawaii.
Did you?
Yeah.
You're like, what's up, dude?
I didn't know who he was at the time. This was like in 1996, probably. Well, I think it was before he was a professional basketball player. But we were staying in this little hotel in Laie, and we went down to the court, and then there's like a big court, open courtyard, and they have like fruits and fresh fruits in the morning. Down there, and like got a plate of like pineapple and fucking papaya and shit, and I was like walking back through the gate, and I turned the corner and fucking almost ran into this wall, and I look up and it's this fucking giant Chinese guy, Asian guy, and I was like, holy fuck. And then like went, and then a few years later I was like, oh, that's that fucking guy.
Yeah, you just see him on TV.
Makes sense. But it was like there was a basketball tournament going on there.
Oh. You know what I remember most from him is that commercial, and I want to say it was for a credit card or some stupid shit, where everybody would see him and they go, yo, and he go, no, yow. Yo, yow. I don't watch basketball, so.
Me neither. I used to when I was younger, when I could actually play basketball with my knees fucking hurting.
Yeah, man. Turning 29 is just, it's rough on you.
Yeah, once you get you're looking onto a new decade of life, you know, your third decade here on the world, the old knees start to crack and snap and pop.
If it's not your knees, it's something else.
Yeah. I sound like Rice Krispies walking around my house.
You ever fucking pop your knees so hard, you're like, that bitch is going to glow in the dark later, I swear to God.
My ankles and toes and knees and shoulders.
My knees are actually the thing that works great. It's shoulders, elbows, hips, and feet.
Yeah.
Knees work great.
Yeah, I could never be a giant, dude. My fucking joints would not hold out.
Can you imagine a giant just like stretching out in the morning? It would sound like rolling around on bubble wrap.
I did see one video that was showing the supposed bones. They've collected pictures of them because you can't find the actual specimens now. But it was like a jawbone of this giant that was, the jawbone right here was like 7 inches wide, like from side to side. That's like bigger than the size of my fucking head.
Yeah, like he could put your head in his mouth.
Yeah, and chomp it off.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of a story about a giant, Beowulf, Grendel, where he was essentially a giant. Mm-hmm. And that's why he was able to just kill so many men until Beowulf came along. So you think about that, and there's a lot of other stories about giants that have been adopted into, you know, literature and movies and TV and things like that. And it is interesting the way that they get portrayed. Like you think about, have you ever seen the version of Beowulf with Gerard Butler?
Is that the CGI one?
No, that's Ray Winstone.
Oh.
But again, he like lifts a fully grown dude in that movie and bites his head right off. Mm-hmm. But he's huge. He's like, I don't know, 16 feet tall or something like that, and he's very deformed, as though, you know, a product of inbreeding. But the Gerard Butler version, it's this very, very large man. You know, he looks like he's about 7 feet tall, but he has kind of Bigfoot traits. He's hairy. He has like big lateral incisors and big canines and things like that. He looks like a giant kind of inbred monster.
Yeah.
So it's crazy the way that these things get injected into our culture, not unlike aliens, you know, with our alien movies and shows and everything else. It's almost like history is informing the current society, but doing it in a way that we can actually find it palatable.
Yeah.
Which is by, you know, movies and TV.
Yeah, I also wondered if it was just like almost the same sense of like werewolves or vampires or whatever, a way to keep kids from wandering off too far. So they would tell stories of giants in the woods, and you can't wander off or the giant's going to eat you.
Yeah.
Could that be where all this folklore stems from? I don't think so, because it seems like there's too many stories of actual giants being, you know, physically in these places or whatever.
You think about one of the oldest ones, Jack and the Beanstalk.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of like, yeah, you can go get the golden goose, but you got to face down the giant if you want it.
Right.
Which, is that worth it? No. Furthermore, how did he chop the beanstalk down so easily? I don't buy that.
Yeah.
That's the most fictitious part.
Yeah.
No, I think it's kind of a secretive way to put the truth in plain sight in a way that you're not going to question it. Because, you know, like the werewolf thing, you know, it was used as kind of a story to keep kids from going into the woods, like you were saying. But they also make them so terrifying that you would never, ever want to deal with one.
Yeah.
But what if the truth is the opposite, where they're not actually going to harm you? Kind of like how skinwalkers don't attack white people. you know. It's just a weird thing that I struggle with in my mind, similar to the alien thing, where we make all these movies to make aliens seem evil and malevolent, like they're going to come here and destroy us. Like, are they though? Because every story I've heard about aliens, it's not really like that. So I almost think it's like an Illuminati kind of thing of, let's make these movies and these TV shows and tell these stories so that we're not exactly hiding the truth, but we're not giving you the full truth. I know that's like way out there, tinfoil hat kind of thing, but it's just my thought.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see if, giants eventually make their return and come out as being like a coalition of the giants and be like, we are here, we are people, get used to us.
I wonder, this would be kind of a cool story, that, same with that vein, is all the giants are being like brought together in some secret area so that they can interbreed with each other, and now you're creating like a big task force to take on kaijus. So Godzilla comes out, he just gets swarmed by like 100 giants with clubs.
I guess you have to have something to battle the fucking titans that are going to return. They're just keeping them under wrap and feeding them cows and shit. The government is mutilating the cows to get fucking, all the delicacies that the giants want.
I saw what you did there. They're like, we specifically need the eyes and the asshole.
Yeah.
Because that's what they like.
I want blood, asshole, uterus, maybe, an eyeball if you can get it.
And all the blood.
Yeah.
Can't spill a single drop.
Yeah, that's pretty plausible in my mind.
Honestly, it makes more sense than a lot of things.
Yeah. I was going down this whole rabbit hole also of like Project Bluebeam. Speaking of aliens now, and especially with all the hype of 3i Atlas, where it's at, and the newest images of it that they've got, saying that it's a alien ship or whatever. It's supposed to be here tomorrow, yesterday. But it's like, yeah, that would be a pretty interesting thing to, such an easy way to gain a lot of control over most of the world by presenting something like that. Especially with all the folklore of aliens being a superior race and technologically superior, and even our creators are seen as gods. If you could create something that made it look like they were coming back here and then, regaining control, would be a pretty easy way of a government agency or a black government to do that.
Mm-hmm. I could see it as a total ploy, especially if you're trying to bring all the giants together and have them breed and create basically an army of giants, where if you want to galvanize people together, it has to be through tragedy. That's just the way we work. You think about 9/11 was awful. 9/12, everybody was united kind of thing. Where let's say you took a whole army of these giants and just let them loose in Manhattan, and they're just going to do all the awful shit that they're going to do. Everybody around the world is going to be like, oh shit, there's giants and they have armies. We got to work together. And that's exactly what would happen.
Yeah.
And it would make sense to do it in a place like Manhattan where you could close it off from the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So, why not?
Yeah, and then like the government swoops in, takes control and takes control of the giants and shows the world that they're superior to this giant race, and so listen to us, we know what we're doing. Yeah. We can control the giants. We alone can control the giants.
I alone control her. Or we have the ability to stop them.
Yeah.
But we need more tax money.
Yeah.
It's
going to cost way more taxes. We need all of your goats. We're going to need every single goat in the country.
We're going to need goats. We're going to need children from orphanages. Just everything we can throw at it.
Yeah.
Are you willing to give up your liberty for safety? That's the question.
Yeah.
That's always the question.
No, man, I got a sling right here. Send in the giants.
I've got enough bullets I could take down a couple. So, and you know that story about the giant of Kandahar, you know, where they're just unloading M249s and M4s, and I think there was a couple of 50 caliber Barretts, and it's like their bone structure may be much denser. You're not standing up to 50 caliber rounds that easy.
No.
Even if your hide is very dense, a 249 concentrated, you're talking 200 rounds of concentrated 223 fire or 5.56 fire, it's going to punch a hole.
Yeah.
A 50 caliber is going to go through your bone.
Well, you can look at, you imagine what would happen if you shot an elephant with the 50 cal.
Oh, yeah.
It would just blow a hole right through it.
Yeah, it just drops them.
Yeah.
I've heard stories about uranium depleted 50 caliber rounds, and somebody I used to know was telling me the story, and I don't know how true it is because that person was pretty full of shit, but it would make sense, where they took an old decommissioned tank, and you know how they're hermetically sealed?
Mm-hmm.
They put a goat inside this tank, and they sealed it, and they fired a uranium depleted round through the tank. It went through both sides. It still only left a 50 caliber hole, but the vacuum created in there pulled the goat through the hole.
Really?
So it was just a mess. Now, I don't know about the ballistics or the physics behind that, but a uranium depleted bullet in a hermetically sealed tank is kind of like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
In a way, at least. I don't know. Somebody can fact check me.
Yeah, I saw somebody talking about, I think it was a story I was watching on YouTube or something, talking about Afghanistan, and they would shoot at people with the 50 cal and not even hit them.
Oh, yeah.
But the percussion wave going past them would just blow their arm right off.
Yeah, there's a video you can watch on YouTube. It's called Afghanistan Sniper, and it's live scope footage from, I'm not sure what branch he's in, but an American guy using a 50, not even hitting them, and it would literally tear their top half right off.
Yeah.
In fact, I watched a ballistic video last night. You know how they have the big casket muzzle brake on the front that directs the gases back? They put a ballistic dummy, with like a skeleton or a skull inside, and they propped it up next to that, where the gas comes out, and they fired, and it destroyed this fucking head. And that's just propellant gases. That's not counting this round that's this fucking big going by at 6,000 feet per second.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sorry, if you ever have to fight a giant, I want a 50.
Yeah.
And I want a 50 caliber pistol to be able to shoot at him if he gets close enough. And then I want another pistol that if he gets that close and I'm empty, that I can shoot myself. And I want the front sight filed off so I don't chip my teeth going in.
Yeah. Yeah. Just here, let me make it, tenderize the meat.
Not me. I want like 5 claymores strapped to my chest. Like, let's go, dude.
Come and get it, asshole.
He's just like, ow. Now you're dead.
Yeah.
Free meal.
Oh.
And it's warm.
Catching blood mist on his tongue.
Yeah. It's like snowflakes. So anyway, giants, real or not?
I think that there is too much evidence to support that they are real to deny it, debunk it in any way.
I have to agree, and I really think there needs to be a major audit on the Smithsonian, because that would be a huge revelation for our species that giants do exist. I really think, just like all the other things we talk about, the truth should be out there. Yeah. And it should be transparent.
Yeah. I don't think that anybody should be able to own information of something that is a collective history of everybody.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter where you're from, what race you are, what religion you are. This is our shared history. We deserve to know.
Yeah.
And
so we've said it. Let the fucking information out,
Tell us about giants. You won't tell us about aliens or ghosts or the afterlife. Now you won't tell us about giants.
Yeah.
Fucking government.
Who cares about giants, dude? Just fucking put it out there.
Put it all out there.
Like we said before in the alien stuff, giants disclosure could be, put out through smaller podcasts like this platform we have here. Nobody's going to believe us.
But again, like I've said before, I think that's the way the truth gets out.
Yeah.
You have a piece, and I have a piece, and that podcast has a piece, and they have a piece, and they have a piece. You just got to listen to all of it, put it all together yourself.
Yep.
Again, Charlie Day.
Yep.
So
we're going to run out of fucking yarn here pretty soon.
Well, I mean, basically, you just take all the pins and just go like this with all the yarn, because it's all connected.
Yeah.
Can't convince me it's not.
There's too much evidence. There's too much out there. Especially on TikTok. You can find out giants are real on TikTok in like 30 seconds, dude.
I struggle with TikTok anymore because it's all AI bullshit now. It used to be kind of like a weird truth disclosure center because anybody can upload and it can go to anybody's hands. And because it was ran by the Chinese government, they were like, yeah, let the Americans fuck each other up with the truth. But now that I'm pretty sure Meta owns it, I have no proof, I'm just guessing. Now it's like we just throw a bunch of AI shit in there and dilute everything to the point where you could see an actual video of a ghost or an alien or whatever and you wouldn't believe it because you're like, it's AI.
AI, dude.
God.
Yeah. It's sad. Like, dude, if you're going to make something up about whatever it is, aliens, ghosts, giants, whatever it is, if you're going to just make something up and tell a story, just say that you're making it up. I'm still going to watch the video.
Do a creepypasta.
Yeah.
Like, if your story is good, even if it's fictional, you'll get the traction. If your story is not good and you're trying to pass it off as truth, it's not going to get the traction. So it's like, use the correct form, stop bullshitting people, because I hate that so much.
Yeah.
And I hate it when people are like, no, this absolutely is real, look at this footage, it's 100%, blah, 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 and then you watch it and it's fucking fake. I can see how you faked it.
Yeah.
It pisses me off.
Yeah. Yeah, and it seems like before, especially like just on YouTube and stuff, it seemed like before you would have a lot of stuff that was intriguing and like, oh, I can't really explain that, or, and then there would be videos that's like clearly fucking fake as shit. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, it seems like 90% of it is all bullshit and people are just clout chasing, looking for clicks and shit.
Yeah.
Which, again, I would still watch your ghost video if you're saying, oh, this is fake, this is for entertainment. I'm still going to watch it because I want the entertainment.
Yeah, I would give way more credence to a channel that puts out purposely fake ghost videos but says that they're fake.
Yeah.
Like, this is like you said, solely for entertainment, for the creep factor. It's all fun. It's not real. Cool, man. I'm definitely going to support your shit just based on your honesty.
Yeah.
Even if your shit sucks, I'll watch it because you're honest. But when people try to pass off the shittiest fucking material as real, like 98% of the rake videos you'll see, it's somebody in a costume.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my god, this is the cringiest shit I've ever seen. And you're saying this is real? Nah.
Yeah.
Hated. So anyway, I think we can put a pin in that and call it solved.
Solved.
Giants are real.
Giants are real.
The government has hidden information.
The Smithsonian is fucking up to no good.
I don't think they ever have been up to any real good.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to preserve that shit, put it on display. Let people figure it out for themselves. You don't even have to say, yeah, we found this shit. We can't explain it.
Yeah.
Here it is. Look at it.
Look at these bones, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever been to the Smithsonian? I went to one when I was a kid. I think it was like 9 or 10. And I remember seeing a ton of stuff there. But the most memorable thing I remember from there was Harrison Ford's jacket from Indiana Jones. And I'm like struggling to think of other things that I've seen from there. I think the Blues Brothers card was there too.
Oh.
But that's it.
amongst like mammoth bones and fucking
Meteorites. and shit.
meteorites.
But it's like, who's to say even the meteorites are real?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
Because now I don't trust the Smithsonian at all. Was that actually Harrison Ford's jacket?
probably not.
Probably
dude.
fucking not.
Probably fucking Greg's from the night shift left it on a chair, and they're like, that looks like Indiana Jones's jacket.
Or somebody was like, somebody working for them saw the movie and was like, holy shit, I have that same jacket. Passed it off as like, oh, I bought this from a prop house.
Yeah.
Line sets.
I got this from Harrison Ford himself. Look, it still smells like him.
It's just like Brute.
That is Harrison Ford.
I imagine Harrison Ford smelled like Brute in those days. Maybe Old Spice.
Old Spice.
Yeah, I could see it.
Old Spice and armpits, probably. Just because he's so sweaty in those movies.
Or it smells like vagina, because you know that dude's been drowning in it for his whole life.
Yeah, it just smells like fucking squirt.
Handsome son of a bitch.
Anyways,
Anyway, we'll call it Doctor.
Doctor.
Okay, love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.